When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Meta Show. Today is April the 23rd, 2022. I'm Brisc Rubal in all black, dressed next to the Mittani, also in black. Today is a double black shirt edition of The Meta Show. What does that mean? Well, let's just say things might get a little spicy today here on the show. Good morning, Mittens. How are you?
Man, I just don't even, like, I got to be real with you guys. Like, I'm not sure whether it's going to be balls to the wall screaming at the top of my lungs or just a lot of like John Travolta Pulp Fiction gifting, right? Just like, what the fuck? While I'm what the fucking, because we've got a lot of that. I want to thank you guys for the hype train. I appreciate when you guys throw money at the screen because we didn't ask you to, and we didn't throw like a random price increase on you for throwing money at the Meta Show screen, which is something.
We don't tend to do that on this show.
Yeah, so just
and our subs are the same price still, guys. Still
yeah,
$5.
That hasn't changed. Like, I don't know how exactly we're going to be handling this because there are 3 or 4 1 hour a bunch of Luna Ticket just gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you. Here we go. Things are going places. But look, guys, we know so little about the exact nature of the stupidity which CCP is engaging in. And because we don't know exactly who knew what when or why and who was planning what when it went down, we're going to go through that. We're going to go through that as much as we know in great detail so you can understand some of the possible explanations for this stuff. Some of them are excusable, some of them are reasonable, and some of them are inexcusable and unreasonable, much like many of the Rattati administration's decisions about the gameplay of EVE Online. So why don't, Brisk, why don't we just begin the process, and we'll jump in and start screaming when the HERF flows through me. We just need to, let's get some facts on the ground. If you blinked and if you missed the last 24, 36 hours, thereabouts, whatever, you might have missed something because CCP decided that 4:40 p.m. Iceland time on a Friday was a great time to tell everybody that they were raising the prices of EVE subs by 34% to $20 USD from $14.99, making EVE Online the single most expensive base subscription MMO in the field, I believe. So that's cool, and that's what we're here today to talk about. There's also space news. There is space news.
We have space news. There is some space things.
Almost is getting hacked. We're fighting each other in space, but collectively together, we have to talk about the gigantic turd that they dropped in the middle of the fucking room. So that's what we're going to be talking. The turd is $20. You can't touch it unless you pay $20. But don't worry, the turd is going to get great. Just wait until Fanfest. There's going to be the greatest content update ever. You just need to keep the faith in the Rattati administration, which nobody had after 2 years of this shit. But here we are. Let's
Here we go. All right. So back to Brisk. Just the facts. Let's go over this price increase. Obviously, first of all, we're going to do this as our top story of the week. The price increase, EVE's first price increase since 2004. So we received yesterday, Friday, it was the middle of the afternoon yesterday, CCP time. I think it was right around noontime, US. Plex and Omega price update. And in it, they walked us through their rationale, or what CCP's rationale as for why the game needed an increase in the subscription rate. Right now, from 2004 through 2022, at sometime in May, I believe is the up May 17th, the price to play EVE Online was $14.95 a month. After May 17th, it will become $19.99 a month. You might notice that $19.99 number. That number is interesting because it happens to be the same as the price increase that Netflix just announced that cost them millions of subscribers and tanked their stock price by 30%.
God.
So CCP says in their post here, to continue investing in EVE Online's evolution and growth and to realize our mission of EVE forever, we have to update the price of all existing Omega and Plex. This adjustment reflects global trends impacting general production costs and accounts for years of inflation, amending the 1-month USD subscription rate for the first time since 2004. These adjustments will have an impact on other currencies, and we'll get to that later. This is the first time they've increased since 2004, and that is true.
Yeah.
Yet look around. And I know we're doing just the news here, but I want to point out a couple of things because I think that's important. First of all, one, we are in the middle of a land war in Europe. There's a war in Europe. The Russian and Ukrainian player bases in EVE Online are pretty significant. They're disrupted. We know they're disrupted. CCP doesn't talk about that at all. I guess that's too sensitive a subject to note. If you live in Europe, you are seeing rapid inflation. You are seeing energy prices going through the roof. If you're in England especially, I feel bad for you having to pay those increased energy costs. I know they are significant. That is where EVE's servers are located, in London. Price may be going up for power. That's entirely legitimate. We don't know. If you're in the United States, just last week it was announced inflation rose at 8.5% in the first quarter of 2022. That is the highest rate in the last 40 years. It goes back to the bad old days where politicians were walking around Washington wearing win buttons that stood for whip inflation now. Everybody was having trouble buying houses because the interest rates were in the 20s. Well, maybe not that high, in the 12s. And gas prices were through the roof, and you had to sit in line to get gas because you couldn't get any gas because there was a shortage. Right now, we're seeing gas prices around the United States over 5%. It's pretty significant. So when the cost of everything is going up, we're seeing EVE taking the first steps to be the first major video game company with an MMO subscription service to increase its rates above what had been previously sacrosanct at the $14.95 level. Every other one of those games that requires a subscription for content that isn't overly monetized or free to play, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls Online, a bunch of other games like that are all $14.95. This is the first time one of these games has taken the step forward into the $19.95 territory. Now, there are other games out there that do have subscription services that may cost more the more you add to the account. I think the premium account in Final Fantasy 14 is like $21, but that's a premium account. And this is just the same old Omega that we've always gotten before. So you look down here, in addition to the increase in price from $14.95 to $14.99 to $19.99, they are adding a number of tiers. A 2-month tier and a 24-month tier are being added. The 2-month tier reduces your monthly cost to $17.99 if you pay for every 2 months. The 24-month reduces it to $11.29, which is still not as much of a discount as the old 1-year subscription that I think got the subscription cost down to like $10. But you could pay $271 and get 2 years worth of EVE, and that reduces your monthly cost. But what does that mean? Your upfront cost is significant, $270. And I was talking with Mittens about this earlier today. When you already have locked in for 2 years, it kind of neuters player protests where people decide to unsubscribe as their way of saying, hey, I don't like this CCP when you've already paid in advance for 2 years. Interesting, isn't it?
I want to get in here from, but before I start throwing stones, and I have a lot of stones to throw, but I'm not sure exactly where I want to throw them because until we really know what went into this, and we're going to be going into in a few minutes here, we're going to be going into the call that CCP Paragon had yesterday to try to answer some questions about this. And of course, this raised more questions. But there are a few things from a business strategy perspective that I want to get in here before I get heated or before Brisk gets heated, right? What I want to put in front of everybody who has watched the Rattati administration screw up Eve over and over again over the last couple of years. Part of the process has been them saying that, we're screwing up Eve, but it's all going to make sense in the future because it's part of our grand 2-year plan of fucking Eve up. And then you're going to love it. It's going to be great. And part of that also was a reasonable business argument. Now, to be fair, I'm not necessarily going to give this business argument too much credence because it's an argument that CCP has made in various administrations throughout the last 18 years is we need to be working on the new player experience. We need to really revamp the funnel of new player acquisition, right? And this was one of the reasons why CCP said that a lot of features and a lot of things that were desperately needed to unfuck things in Eve weren't happening is because many of their developer resources were focused purely on this amazing new player experience and they were going to do all this. So let's just give it summary judgment. Let's accept the idea that CCP has teams and teams and teams of developers working on revamping the new player experience. And they've been open about the fact that this is a difficult job. They're trying to recruit new people and convince them to play Eve, which is one of the most complicated, interesting, difficult games of its kind. There's really nothing else like it. And they're trying to convince people to do this and still buy into that $15 a month subscription model if they were from the United States, right? If they're part of that $14.99 thing. And so for a long time now, we, the existing players, have been told that the reason why we are not getting the level of service that you would expect at $15 a month, honestly, in the Rattati administration, we've been getting $10 a month service or less for years. But we've been told that the reason why this is there is it's necessary to fix the NPE, and they've got all of these developers working on all this cool stuff, and it just doesn't apply to us, the existing player base. So here's my question from a business strategy perspective. If, as one of your corporate objectives, you have been attempting to achieve more new players and a higher retention rate when you get them, and this is like a thing that you haven't really finished launching or unfucking yet, but all of your corporate efforts are, let's get new players, let's do this, let's do all this sort of things. And then you announce that with your new pricing strategy, you are going to have one of the highest monthly subscriptions of any MMO in the industry. And so essentially, from my perspective, they have raised the difficulty level at like a corporate strategy perspective of getting those new players, of doing all this investment that they've put into it. It's kind of on the same level of spending a lot of time and effort developing a first-person shooter and then doing an exclusivity agreement for an already sunsetting console like the PS3. Not like we've ever seen that kind of cack-handed decision-making from the C-suite at CCP before. So one of the big things I want to point out here is that CCP has been telling us over and over and over again, new players, new players, new players, new players. We're doing all this work. That's why you don't have the development resources. We have all of this going into that. And it appears on the face of it that they have now stepped in it in a way that's going to make accomplishing that stated theoretical objective far more difficult. Because now they have to justify that in an environment where people are less than happy with what they're seeing. So I just want to throw that out there in every mind. Keep in mind, CCP has been telling you, you are not getting cool new stuff at the level that we used to get cool new stuff because they're doing all this stuff for new players who they're now going to try to get on board for $20 a fucking month. Whee!
So again, and I pulled up on the screen while Miz was talking the Final Fantasy 14 because there was discussion in the chat. I know Noisy had told me he pays $21.99. I remember paying 14 plus additional stuff when I was playing Final Fantasy 14. And then in addition, the game costs money and all the expansions cost money. So they're getting more upfront money out of you in addition to whatever your fees are. Regardless, I'm not trying to use that as some kind of justification for what CCP is doing. I'm simply pointing out that other games have different models. And what I find frustrating more than anything is, from my perspective, and this is not just as a CSM member, but it's also as a customer of this company, subscription is your base, like, fundamental, this is what I have to pay to play the game. It's an Omega thing. You can plex your accounts. You can earn the ISK in the game if you are sufficiently capable of doing so that you can play for free, and it's possible. But they've done a lot to make it harder to do that in the game. So a lot of the game changes that have been made by CCP have had an impact on Plex prices. In fact, the changes that we're seeing now have had an impact on Plex prices. They have been steadily rising. I think the last time I checked, they were at 3.6 million per Plex, which is pretty significant. They were 3 million last week. And that means it's going to take more time and more effort of in-game activity in order to generate the Plex that you would need to Plex an account so that you could play for free. And when the economy is screwed up because the Rattati administration and otherwise and everyone else in the game has been focused on scarcity, I should say not everyone else in the game, CCP has been focused on scarcity and removing the way to print ISK the way we used to be able to do that, and making nullsec a lot harder to make ISK in, and making mining not as lucrative, and making Rorquals not as good, and all the other types of nerfs that we've seen over the last 2 years that have led to the current era, which CCP has dubbed the Age of Prosperity, which we have not yet seen the prosperity. We're still waiting. It's taken time. Maybe it's coming. Maybe it'll happen in 6 months. Maybe it'll happen in a year, but we haven't seen it yet. But the reality is, the way that the in-game changes had nerfed income for a lot of players and a lot of parts of the game, it made subscribing more attractive. So players started subscribing, and I would assume that more people were subscribing. And what we always tell new players when they join Karma Fleet University, when they join Karma Fleet, when they join Init, when we bring new players in, people ask, should I Plex my account to start? And we always tell them, no, subscribe. It's cheaper in the long run, and you learn how to play the game. And once you feel comfortable and you know how to earn income and you can make enough money, then you can talk about Plexing accounts. Now, with a $5 increase, that becomes a harder sell, because there's something magical in the human brain, at least of the average consumer, at least in the United States. $15, you hit that 20, you hit that 20 spot, and it changes people's behavior. And in addition, you also have to keep in mind, we're not just talking about people with one account. This is a game that has thrived on multi-boxing. A lot of significant parts of gameplay require multiple accounts. I mean, for example, if you want to be a Titan or a super pilot at any major nullsec alliance, you're going to be pretty much required to have a Faxalt. You're going to have, and that requires a second account, which is why I think the average EVE player has 1.7 accounts. There are a lot of high sec players that only have one account, but most nullsec players have 2 or more. Mm-hmm. And when I'm talking to my colleagues, I'm talking to Dark Shines from the initiative, I'm talking to my other friends in different groups that all have significant numbers of accounts. They're looking at this as a major monthly payment increase that they're going to have to eat, or they're just going to have to let accounts go and sit by because they're not going to be able to afford to use them all. And that's going to impact the ability of groups to move around. A lot of these alts were like jump freighter alts. A lot of them are the extra bulk, the extra Hulk, the extra mining ships that you're going to use so you can mine at scale. That's going to have an impact on the in-game prices. It's going to cascade throughout the entire game, this change, in a variety of ways, and CCP had to know that was happening, yet they chose now to do it. And that to me is one of those things where, is there something else going on that they're not talking about that we don't get, or that we're not being told? Because I'll tell you this right now, FanFest is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. They've been doing these Road to FanFest updates, but other than the word of one developer who took time to talk to people, and we'll get into that in a minute, we've seen no hype. There's been no crazy hype train about FanFest. I don't know how many people are going. We asked Goons how many people are going, and it's like 4. And I'm finally starting to see more people getting excited slowly or surely about FanFest, but when it comes to what CCP is going to say, you ask the average player, what do you think CCP is going to release at FanFest? And all they do is make jokes about negative stuff. Oh, they're going to announce a new NFT. They're going to announce a new this. They're going to announce this. They're going to do this. And it's all negative stuff. No positive stuff. People are not happy right now.
It is just amazing their ability to step in it over and over and over and over and over again, right? So, all eyes are on Fanfest now, and we're going to get to this in a second. But part of the reason why all eyes are on Fanfest is that now we have, an exercise in corporate communications, right? Respected capsuleers. It's just stunning to me because one of the things that the Rattati administration continually says is the best is yet to come. You haven't seen all these amazing, wonderful, tremendous, bigly things that are going to be coming down the pipe, and it's going to be so great. And over and over and over again, you end up with 80 billion esquiverns that are mostly made out of water, and right. And then we're supposed to be told that, oh, if you're complaining about this, you're just a goon, or you're just a nullsec person, or you're just an RE shit poster, or whatever it is, your criticism is invalid. And I'm really kind of interested to see what happens here at Fanfest, because it's like the echo chamber in Reykjavik is finally going to be imploding, because I kind of have the feeling, every year when this is not necessarily CCP's fault, right? There is an echo chamber there. It's an island in the middle of the North Atlantic. So, and it reminds me a lot of like a small town in Wisconsin in the first place. So there's definitely a lot of passive aggressive crap that happens there to begin with. But not being able to have the Fanfests during the plague times, I think, has allowed CCP's higher ups to just become completely unmoored from the practical reality on the ground about what their customers are going to do. Because, I think that if you wanted to message this, like if it turned out that this was related to the whole like World War III thing, then you could say, hey guys, there's a war in Europe, and that means that nobody from our international game, many of whom were in Russia, can pay for it anymore. So shit happens. This is how it is. It sucks. We hope everybody, we hope that thing fucking stops, right? But this is the deal, right? Because everybody knows that EVE has a huge Russian community and a huge Russian speaking community, right? This is something that is baked into it. And it just got in front of it and was like, this is what it is. And you're going to see a lot of other messaging from other companies that are having to make similar sort of pricing adjustments because World War III, then it's like, okay, well, that fucking sucks, and maybe we could work together around that, because the players have tons of ideas as to how we would like to pay money to CCP to receive services. And many of us are very unhappy because, like I said earlier in the show, I certainly feel like we have been getting $10 a month level of service from the Rattati administration, and that's one of the reasons, instead of a $15 a month level of service, and that's one of the reasons why this hits so badly. So you have this terrible messaging. You have it on a Friday afternoon just before they I guess fucked off to a bar, and what it really reminds me of is the Monocle situation. Brisket, I got a second here. I'm gonna launch into a little story about Monocle Gate.
Here we go.
So 10 years plus ago, there was this whole little kerfluffle called the Jita riots and Monocle Gate. And one of the reasons why Monocle Gate ended or was the spark for the riots, and unfortunately, guys, I'm going to try with a smug meter here. We're all in black shirts here, but I'm a little bit. We'll see where the rage comes, or if it comes. Right now, I'm mainly confused and disappointed, which is, in my view, worse than just being
way worse than when we're mad.
Right? Like me being ass blasted is perfectly cool and good. That's a Tuesday. Back to the story about Incarna. So CCP has a habit of making pricing decisions at the last minute. The decision, from my understanding, and it's been more than a decade, so I could be wrong, but my understanding is that the decision for the pricings in the Noble exchange, when the Incarna release happened, were only really decided in the last 48 hours before launch. And we got into this during the CSM Emergency Summit when we had our asses flown to Iceland to clean up this mess. And it was essentially a situation where they're like, whatever, we're going to see if people will buy the $70 monocle. They weren't expecting riots over the monocle. And it was like, okay, cool, whatever. We'll just put this here without any real understanding of the powder keg that they then set off. And so this kind of reminds me of that too, where you have a scenario where the player base was clearly unhappy very unhappy, had made no secret about the fact that the player base was unhappy with the Rattati administration, to the point that they had to come out with a Road to FanFest dev blog, and the fact that there are still like FanFest early bird tickets available because for some reason not too many people are going to FanFest this year, and it's because of a lack of confidence and engagement in what the Rattati administration has delivered service-wise month over month. Like I said, they've been delivering $10 a month product and service, and now they're asking for 20. So it's like they just dropped this, went to the bar, and expected that everything was going to be peachy keen, because they have repeatedly written off criticism from the player base, criticism from the CSM, criticism from any and all players of EVE Online. They have ignored what people have said they would actually like to pay money for, like, please let us put all skins on all ships and we will all buy lots of skins. Some people want cat ears. If they want to get cat ears so that they can fund EVE Online's development, let them have fucking cat ears. I don't give a shit. I want spaceships and war and murder involving spaceships, right? That's the draw.
It's not going to kill my immersion if I kill somebody with a cat ear on. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, I mean, also, you know, in the far future of if people have like advanced plastic surgery and you can do spaceships, people are going to, one of the first things that they're going to do is they're going to turn themselves into cats and bang, right? Like, that's just humans. They're going to draw penises on things, do drugs, and have weird kinky sex, right? That's perfectly acceptable for the far future, particularly in the Galente. You could just say, hey, you know, it's Galente body modification. Go
I'm
nuts.
an immortal capsuleer who's rich beyond the dreams of avarice. Why can't I have cat ears?
Exactly.
I can have anything I want. I live forever.
You know, I really don't know what to do about this, because from my perspective, and we will know more in the coming days, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not raging out, because I'm not really sure from behind this bully pulpit who requires being bullied for why. Because here's the thing: if CCP needs help because it's World War III and they actually need help, then the appropriate take on the meta show is, okay, you fucked up the messaging again, which you're notorious for doing. You done stepped in it. So how can we collectively keep our wonderful spaceship game going? And here are some other monetization things. Please give us, you know, for obvious fixes for me would be things like multi-account discounts, right? You absolutely, please, if you're going to have 5 accounts on EVE Online, give them a multi-account discount. And maybe somebody said this in chat, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. If you're gonna charge more, then let everybody log on all 3 of their characters per account, right? Like, you know, you got to give people more, because the entire time of the Rattati administration, what we've actually gotten is less. So the reason why the players are feisty, if you are a CCP dev and you're just tuning in now to find this out and whatever, the reason the players are feisty is that the players were not lying and were not inventing it when they said that they were unhappy with the level of service that they were receiving over the past 2 years of Plexperity and all the other nonsense. EVE players are smart. They're good at spreadsheets. They can help fix this if you need help. But, and this is the big but, this is where we put the nice summary judgment stuff off to the side. The reality, the perception that a huge chunk of the player base has, and this is a perception that Hilmar and those who are dancing to his tune has created here, there is an immediate perception and a presumption on a part of a huge chunk of a player base that has been stymied, has been ignored, has been dismissed. Repeatedly shouted warnings from the CSM about this, that, and the other thing. And the story, time after time after time, is the Rattati administration ignores the CSM, ignores their warnings, and then goes forward with something that predictably blows up in their faces. And so naturally, I understand Hanlon's razor exists. Hanlon's razor, for those of you that don't know, is don't assume malice, which can be explained by stupidity. But there has been a lot of malice and what appears to be a lot of stupidity. So it is very difficult for the EVE Online player base to look at this weasel-worded, mealy-mouthed, equivocating NFT not for tranquility crap that just came out. Oh no, we're not going to do NFTs because you guys were extremely angry about it, and now we want $20 for your sub. The fact that this happened during the week where Netflix just had everything blow up in their face, everyone was talking about the fucking Netflix thing, that blew up in their face, and on the same fucking week, they choose to shit this out. They could have waited till after FanFest. May 17th is the predicted price increase, but no, hey, we're going to raise prices. By the way, here's a sale for your 1 month Omega. Totally get it now. You know, it is.
But you know, that's a point. That's a good point. I want to grab onto this because, and maybe I'll put the wild smug meter up, because this is 2 things that are frustrating to me. First of all, one, if what we are hearing is true, that they're going to make some big announcement at FanFest, that's going to mean this is the biggest increase in the amount of content in the game in 2 years. We're going to show you all this stuff that we're in the process of doing that's coming soon. We're going to get you all excited and happy about it. You show us that stuff, you make us happy, and then you say, maybe not at the same time, but maybe 2 months later or a month later or something like that, you say, oh, by the way, if we want to bring you all of the stuff that we just showed you that you guys were all excited for, then we're going to need to increase prices. There's just no way around it. I think that would have made a little bit more sense, because at the very least, and the first comment that I made, and I'll show you, the first comment that I made in the post that came out, everybody started bitching on the forums, and the first thing I said was, it's extremely hard to swallow a price increase without any new content. Because that's the bottom line. Other games, when they increase prices, when they charge you for an expansion, you're getting charged, but you get new content. We don't do that in EVE. The expansions are free. But we haven't had new content in this game in 2 years. 2 years. That was Pochfin. That was 2 years ago. The Triglavian Great Invasion itself, like Abyssal Dead Space and everything got added to the game. That was 4 years ago. I remember watching FanFest 4 years ago and seeing them talking about Abyssal Dead Space. We've not had new content in this game in 2 years. We've had a lot of updates, yes. What have those updates been? Those updates have been these guys fixing the bullshit that they broke in the first place. Don't come here and tell me, well, guys, we just gave you a great update a week ago that fixed all this stuff. That's the shit you broke. It was fine 2 years ago. It was fine 3 years ago. It was fine 4 years ago. You broke it. Then you had to fix it. Don't tell me I'm getting something for that. What all it is you guys cleaning up the shit that you took in the yard in the first place. Come on. So you want us to pay more. Okay, I understand that. But you know what else? One account, I can maybe justify another $5. 6 accounts like I have, that's another $30 a month on top of what I'm already paying. And if I were to buy this 2-year thing for everything, that's $1,200 for 6 accounts. Why can't we at least get some kind of a discount for those of us that have multiple accounts? Make it a little bit cheaper. It's not everybody. The bulk of the game is in high-sec, you know that, but there are a lot of EVE players, a lot of your core veteran players who have more than one account. Wouldn't it have been nice if you could have put in this blog a comment like, at the very least saying, hey, you know what? I know a lot of you guys have a lot of accounts, and we are, even if they just said, we're exploring providing some kind of a discount for multiple characters, multiple account holders, because we recognize that this is going to impact you. And then in addition, another thing, this is the other thing that pissed me off. So they do this in dollars, they do it in euros. Everybody else that pays some other price is going to get fucked even harder than those of us in the United States and Europe. Seriously, my buddy, seriously, Australia, 30 Australian dollars an account.
Oh my fucking
is what God. He has to pay.
Serious?
And I had an email from a buddy of mine who's in Brazil. The real is not doing that great. It's 80 real a month for an EVE subscription in a country where the annual median income is 1,200 real. I'm sorry. Like, this hits everybody at the worst possible time. No one feels like they're getting anything extra for it. And we're being told, well, guys, we haven't done it in a long time, so we got to do it. And then they drop a 33% increase. And I mean, I understand why you do it. So why not do it? We'll just do 33%, because if we only do 25 and then we have to raise it another 10, they're going to bitch again. So we're just going to do a third. I mean, it's unfathomable.
This is one of the like the thing that bothers me about this is I tell my directors this, right? So I had a meeting today. Illuminati is the director at of Goonswarm. And I had to talk about this at length, right? We all have to talk about this. And, usually speaking, like when the Rattati administration does something really dumb and we take to the skies and we say, why is a wyvern made out of water, right? Maybe that's not content. Maybe that's a fuck up. That's one thing, but in this scenario, CCP has stepped in it so badly that I essentially have to wait and see, right? We don't know yet exactly what went into this. Now, that doesn't mean we have to know everything, but the interesting thing is, and this will be a segue into one of our next segments here, the fact that after dropping this deuce in the middle of the room, they had to drag, or they chose to drag, some guy that I'd never seen do like a public messaging voice call on a Friday. This is CCP Paragon, stood up in front of the torches and pitchforks in the immediate aftermath on the CCP Discord. We're going to be going into that here in a second. The fact that they had to get somebody to come message this in some way, and there was confusion. We're gonna dive into that confusion. Indicates that now they have recognized that they done fucked up. But it's hilarious because if you had even just the basic corporate communications, they had warning, they had advance warning. Netflix literally made the same error in communication, but actually Netflix did better communication than CCP about their situation with raising prices earlier in the week, right? CCP had notice. They were, they've got a CSM. They could ask the CSM, hey, we're gonna come out and do this thing. How do you think we should message it? They had every opportunity to not do this damn silly thing in this damn silly way, and here we are. So again, right. Let's dive into what CCP Paragon had to say to clarify or not clarify whatever the fuck this is.
So what Paragon pulls, Paragon decided that he was going to come back from vacation apparently and jump into the new. This was the Fanfest Discord, but I guess it has become the Eve Discord, the official Eve Discord, because all the CCPers are on there. We have a transcript of the conversation that was had between the players and CCP Paragon. So it starts off, they ask, is there going to be significant content released? And he says, the short answer is yes. And they didn't want, let me first talk about the timing. We're doing this because why are you announcing before FanFest? People are just going to be mad. They say, yeah, we know, but we didn't like just sitting on this until after FanFest. Do you like it now? Just saying. So if it was decided that we were going to do this rather than holding on to it, I want to be upfront. If you decide you're happy with the things at FanFest, great. If not, understandable. But yes, we're announcing big content updates for FanFest. It's the largest one probably that we've ever done. The largest one we've ever done. Now, I'm on the CSM. This is my third term. And just because you guys are going to ask and because we have a crowd of 1,200 people, I did not want to run for CSM again this time. Merkel Chen and Innominate have been term limited out, so my two best friends are going to be off the CSM. Villy and Gobbins are also off the CSM. I will not be crying about that. But unfortunately, I came to the conclusion after seeing this go down, plus the stuff last week, plus having a ton of you people asking me, Brisc, are you going to run again? And in addition, hey, you know what? I get 5 free accounts if I run for CSM. That's a lot of money I'm going to save with this increase, right? So I'm announcing today, yes, I am running for CSM for my last term. This will be my last term, period. CSM, 4th term, CSM 17, Brisc for CSM. I'm going to run again. And mainly I'm running again because the main reason I'm running again is because of stuff like this. Okay. CCP needs to have somebody who talks to players, who can tell them when they're mad and explain why they're mad. And that has been one of the things that I have gone and tried to do for the longest amount of time. And that is to make sure that I am passing on your complaints to them. We get accused on this show all the time. Mittens and I get accused all the time. You're ginning up a hate mob. Says those people who used to be on the air whose names rhyme with matter not. Well, it doesn't really rhyme. Anyway, we get accused of ginning up hate mobs. We get accused of causing riots and causing protests and doing this and doing that. And I tell everybody whenever they accuse us of that, we do not create player sentiment on this show. We reflect player sentiment on this show. We are pissed because you are pissed. We don't come in here and say, you should be really mad about this. We tell everybody, hey, they're already mad about this. That's what we do. That's what I've done on the CSM, and that's what I'm going to continue to do for one more year until I'm term limited it out, and then it could be somebody else's problem.
Well, thank you for that, Brisk.
That's out there.
It's a rough duty CSMing because
it sucks. It's the worst job I've ever had. It's the most thankless job I ever had, and I worked in the White House for a year for free. That was a thankless job. This is worse.
Yeah, it's crazy, because it's this classic repeated pattern of, you know what, guys, if you just listen to the player elected focus group, they could help you with messaging things. And in the past, when CCP has listened to the CSM, it actually works out great. But the Rattati administration appears to continually be so thin-skinned that any kind of criticism from the players about the fact that they have removed content, removed play styles, inserted water. Oh, wait, well, we finally took away the water, guys, so we're not going to hear about that on the Meta Show. Good luck with that. It's just, if you are delivering, like if they were delivering $15 a month of service and said World War III has started, shit is fucked up, we need help, we need more revenue sources because look at all this crap, and we were getting the kind of EVE Online we were getting in previous years, where their idea of content wasn't taking things away and taking playstyles away and just fucking everything up with repeated, public, proven incompetence. This is why it's so frustrating. Proven incompetence, proven over and over again. And if you are in Iceland and you're sitting there going, well, what do you mean proven incompetence? I simply want to point to the fact that most of the Road to Fanfest fixes are just removing things that the Rattati administration put in that were terrible and were generally agreed were terrible, and the CSM said was terrible, and then it turned out it was fucking terrible. So yeah, when you ask people to pay $20 a fucking month, when you've been charged, you've been only delivering. I mean, honestly, I was being forgiving when I said that we were getting $10 a month worth of service. Like, what they have done is take and take and take away from EVE and insist that it's good because they know best, coming from somebody who already ran dust into the ground. Maybe that's what we'll get at FanFest. I want to ask people here in chat. I got something.
Go ahead. Ask away. I want to hear.
I want to ask people here in chat. I did this in the Illum meeting earlier, which is, I want to know, put what you think they're going to announce at FanFest, because Paragon has said there's a big, amazing thing. I just want to hear from the people. Well, give me your spit take. Is it going to be like, in case of emergency, break glass and release the Jovians? Like, is it going to be Dust 514 V2? Is it going to be another vampire game that never goes anywhere? It needs more push. Is it going to be a Spark VR thing? Is it going to be more crypto shit? Is it going to be EVE 2 or EVE Classic? I don't fucking know. And the fact that they're like, oh, it's going to be the biggest thing that we've ever done, and we're 2 weeks out from FanFest, folks. Yep. And if CCP's reaction is just look and see what you're going to get from FanFest, I'm curious just what people think it's going to be, because I have no fucking idea.
And neither do I. People are asking, so what's the point of the CSM, Brisk? Sometimes I really don't know. Because I'll tell you this right now, we have not heard anything, not one thing, about what the FanFest reveals are going to be. We've not heard anything about the keynotes, nothing. It's 2 weeks away. We've heard nothing. I've asked, and we get nothing. And I think they want us to be surprised too, or maybe they just don't want me spilling the beans on the show, even though I wouldn't do that. But the reality is, I don't know what they're going to announce. But I'll tell you, there are certain things that they could announce that are probably going to go over like a lead balloon if they announce them now with this price increase. Let me tell you something. I have been championing trying to get Alliance, Corporation skins, Structure skins in this game for 4 years. I've been pushing this on my 3 terms on the CSM. I will keep pushing it. I really want it. Wouldn't it be funny if they announced they're finally going to do that at FanFest and charge us for it while raising the prices? Like, this is what frustrates me. We have told them time and time. This is another reason why the price thing drives me crazy. We've told them time and time again, multiple different monetization schemes of stuff that you can sell that people will buy. And the answer is well, we don't know if this will make enough money. We don't know if this is going to be good enough for it to be sustainable and blah, blah, blah. We don't know if we want to. It takes a lot of effort to do all this, and the teams are working on all kinds of stuff. And they every excuse in the book, and we don't get it done. But the money is left on the table to the point that now we have to have a subscription increase rather than more monetization, which everybody would be okay with. If you're selling us the stuff we want, we're not going to bitch about it. It's when you sell us shit like hypercores or fucking expert systems that we get upset because nobody asked for that.
Fucking HyperNet. I forgot about that. Jesus, what a mess.
Nobody asked for it. Sell us the stuff we asked for. We will pay you money. We've said that a million times. If you give us what we asked for, we will pay you. And the problem now is we're asking, we're not getting, but we're going to have to pay them more now. And I think that's part of the problem. So anyway, let's go back to this. Keep going here. So they asked Paragon, I guess the main question is why. And you would think he would just say, well, it was in the post, right? But he goes into this. Everything is more expensive, especially in the past few months. We have increased prices. That's true. We need to remain profitable, so price increases are the last resort to do that. Eve is doing pretty well, don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to freak out, but it's better we do this now than later. The primary reason is we're doing it in the span of 6 to 12 months. We lost Russia. That's the primary reason. Okay, if that's the primary reason, why wasn't that in the fucking blog post? Why are you telling us that in an informal chat in a room filled with 10 people? Come on. Why wasn't that in the blog post?
Respected capsuleers.
And again, I want to point out, and this is what frustrates me. We went over this on the Meta Show because we do this every month. We go over the Pearl Abyss monthly earning reports to show you guys how it is. And here was the last one. This was from February. It was fourth quarter 2022, the breakdown. Eve, all the Eve IPs together made 18.4 billion Korean won. That's about $14.7 million. This company makes about $60 million a year income. We don't know what their burn rate is. We don't know how much they spend on employees. We don't know how much they're spending on infrastructure and that kind of stuff. We don't have any of that data. All we can tell you is their revenue. Their revenue now, last year, 2022, was one of the best years, or 2021, was one of the best years that Eve has had since they were bought by Pearl Abyss. Now, granted, they probably have higher rates because they have the new game. They have the Eve Echoes that they have to service. And they have, additionally, they have Eve. But they're not hurting in terms of money, at least not according to the revenue. And nobody on these calls is saying, yeah, Eve is dragging us down because they're not turning a profit. And here is the number one thing. And Mittens, you'll remember this. Number one thing. What does this company do when they're running out of money? Layoffs. Has anybody gotten laid off of this company yet? No, they're still hiring.
You're right. We haven't seen the usual, oops, they stepped in it in a way that they were warned about stepping in it, and then they've got to fire people whose fault it wasn't. That is a very good point, Brisk. In every other scenario where Eve has resulted in a oops because of some amazing corporate direction that everyone told them wouldn't work out, then almost immediately an axe has fallen. And we don't want that to happen. We certainly don't want that to happen, but I think it is very instructive when you're looking at this and you're wondering, because I honestly, I don't believe if they had come out and they said, look, Russia, and it's not $14.99 a month. Sorry, guys, it's $17.99 a month or whatever. People would have probably been like, well, and life would have got on. Right, like that would have probably been that. Like, yeah, okay, that's a bunch of players can no longer make these transactions because of sanctions and things that are bigger than Eve and bigger than any of us. But it's really that 1-2 punch of, here's the thing, we're going to charge you more for amazing future content when none of the, we have the financials, we see this information. And the reason why people, if CCP thought that they had to raise the price because they were losing subscribers, maybe they should have considered that the reason why they were losing subscribers is that they were repeatedly, overtly, publicly shitting on their players in the games media, saying, oh, well, whatever, we don't, there's criticism, there's controversy, but we're noble people and we know what's up and we're gonna figure it out, just like Hilmar did in the greed is good era. And we're very predictable criticisms we're having here, and people don't want NFTs right now, but they will want NFTs because we're so ahead of the game, right? It's just so fucking stupid. and cack-handed and has been handled terribly. So regardless of if it turns out, we find out in a day or two from more messaging from the company that we find out that really something's changed and there is justification for this and it is reasonable and they are going to come over the top with some discounts for multiples. You guys really, but by the way, CCP, you stepped in it this time. Like this is so bad. I don't even know where I should be throwing punches yet because it's just bad. So please, for the love of God, you're going to have to come over the top with some sort of like bulk account discounting, because as I'm sure you can see, we know you've stepped in it, because no company pulls some guy off vacation and puts him in front of a crowd of 300 angry customers off the cuff to then say a whole bunch of things that weren't in the dev block, right? Like, oh, well, the main reason is Russia. Well, why didn't you fucking say it? Was it really the main reason is Russia? Is it this NFT stuff? We don't know, because your communication has not been open, honest, and forthcoming. You can call us respected capsuleers, but if you treat us with fucking disrespect, what the fuck do you expect is going to happen?
And your point about multiple accounts is 100%. And this is one of the questions, the next question that they asked Paragon. So two questions. Have you guys considered we're going to lose a lot of player alt subs with increased profits from a single sub to cover everything you're going to lose? Is that what's going to happen? They're saying, have you guys considered we're going to lose a lot of player alts? Yes, that's a major concern for us, he says. The problem with it is we want to actually do something about it, but it wasn't ready, so we couldn't have it a part of the announcement. Yes, you can. If you're going to do something and you know you're going to do something, just say, we are in the process of figuring out a way to provide some kind of a discount for multi-account holders. Just say that. You don't have to tell us what the thing is immediately or if it's going to be ready by May 17th. Just tell us. It takes the sting out that you're at least working on it and you acknowledge that that's an issue. Because that's the first thing first thing I thought about was, shit, what is this going to do to the guys with 10 accounts? What is this going to do with Darkshines with 14 accounts or Big Bill the Boss with a dozen accounts? I mean, these guys pay a lot of money to play this game because that's how they want to play it. And that's how the game has been designed. So that it's always better to have more. And how are you going to get around that? So like, why could they not have said that? That to me is another one of these situations where they could have blunted a little bit of this, not a lot. Don't get me wrong. And I flat out told them when we met with the marketing team, the first thing I said was, look, I don't envy you guys because this is a turd. And no matter how you polish it, it's not going to go over well with the players. And that's coming from me, a DC politician who is a professional turd polisher. Yeah,
polisher. Exactly.
That's what I do. Yeah. Okay. I can't figure out how to spin this. There's no way to spin it. Just deal. You're going to have to tank this because nobody's going to be happy with you and they're going to give you shit for it. And I said that to him directly. So they're talking about offering different stuff here, as I pointed out. And then they're saying, will increased profits from the sub cover everything you're going to lose? And they don't know. But they seem to think that potentially if they lose 10% or something, then they'll be all right. And then people start asking, they keep saying, this one I thought was funny. You guys will appreciate this. I don't know how many WoW fans are here. WoW was the first MMO. Mm-hmm. But he says, do you feel CCP provides more than EVE Online or WoW? Do you really feel, does EVE Online provide more than WoW? And he's like, and Paragon's like, I play all those games. We do provide more than World of Warcraft. Absolutely. I played the last expansion. It was garbage. I quit after the first raid tier. It was just bad. But he likes Final Fantasy. Okay.
Do
you think you're getting as much as well? I mean, maybe. I kind of do, but I would never say that. Because that's a multi-billion-dollar company that seems to be doing okay, sort of.
It doesn't charge $20 a month for a subscription. Yeah. Right. It's just stunning to me because this is, I don't know. Like, I'm spinmaster.space is no longer there, or spinmaster.me, or whichever one had jumped around. Unfortunately, that is no longer there. But like, I'm the spin guy. I'm the space politics guy. I'm the fucking Mittani and and like politics and understanding how the humans are going to work a little bit before the humans do their thing, so you can slightly predict and get a little bit of an edge. That's like my whole fucking thing. And like Brisk, You guys have seen me rant about the Rattati administration's many fuck-ups before. You've seen me up here time after time having to talk about water and wyverns, which is a sign of how bad it is. And then this comes down the pipe, and I'm just like, this is so dumb and so fucked up that and preview of the fucking fireside tomorrow, because this is exactly what I had to tell the Illuminati today, is that like, this is literally so dumb that I cannot take a position on it yet, because I need to know way more information about what CCP knew, when they knew it, what their plans were, and what the hell they're promising at FanFest, because there is so much mud and blood in the water here. I just don't really know what I'm looking at, right? Did they just go for a venal cash grab because they were butt blasted that everybody shot down the marketing team's NFTs plans? Were the NFTs originally something that the marketing team was interested in? And then the marketing team came to the CSM and said, here's a price increase. Who is responsible for all of these decisions? And until we really know that, I am left in the unenviable position of going, this is really bad and really dumb. And we don't yet know how bad and how dumb it is. And so until that time, I'm left to sort of sit on my hands and speculatively rant and say, if it's in this direction, that's bad for these reasons. If it's in this direction, that's bad for these reasons. But what I definitely know, guys, is CCP, you have fucked up. You have fucked up badly. And you know you fucked up badly because there's got to be some sort of an unsub monitor over in Iceland. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put this poor CCP Paragon person in front of a mob yesterday to try to do a little crisis communications about this. You were warned repeatedly that this would be a big cock-up, and it was a cock-up. And so now here we are. Obviously, I run Goonswarm. I am heavily invested in the success of EVE Online, right? Like, I don't want anything bad to happen to this game because I care about Goonswarm and the Imperium. And also fuck all puppies forever, right? So, like, you know, I don't want this any more than anybody else wants this. But I am left stunned and kind of like, I'm ranting kind of, but it's a meta rant. Like, this is, it's you got to get group discount prices out. You got to find a way to claw this back and make people actually happy, and not insisting to any games journalists who will listen that the Rattati administration has been popular. That's not going to work. Going la 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 la. We're actually making plans for the next 2 years, and it's going to be great. And just wait, guys. We're going to give you alliance skins like we promised in the FanFest in like 2007 or whatever. Like, that's not going to work. You stepped in it.
Right.
And I hope you find a way out.
And I mean, there are a couple of points that I wanted to make, and then we got to get it. We have a little bit of other news we're just going to go through real quick, because we're at the end of the show.
Sure.
I mean, look, Horrendous made it a very solid point. When it comes to content in EVE, CCP doesn't even have to bring the content. We bring the content. We're the ones making the content. At least for nullsec, and for, I think, the low-sec guys are doing their thing, and the wormhole guys are doing their thing. We're doing our thing. We're all creating content for ourselves. It's not like we're sitting here waiting to be hand-fed something to do. We're not like WoW players. We're not like Final Fantasy 14 players. We're not like these other groups where we're waiting for the next storyline and the newest character and the new expansion. And, oh, we get to be a dragon now. Great. Oh, that's exciting. We're not waiting for that shit. We do that ourselves. We create our stories. We tell our own stories here. That's the point of the sandbox. So what we've been asking for, and more than anything, are just tools to make the sandbox a little more fun for us. And this is why it drives me crazy. Like, we talk about skins. So why does CCP refuse to create sales out of skins that would undoubtedly create a ton of new revenue? Yeah, like, selling skins is not something we can scale indefinitely. Nobody cares if you can scale it indefinitely. For Christ's sake, if you make more money on it than you spent creating them, and you should, it's profit. That's the definition of profit. Revenue minus cost equals profit. You're going to make money, period. Oh, it's not going to scale indefinitely? Oh, well, I guess if I pick up this dollar on the ground here, I'm not going to be able to pick up a dollar on the ground every day, so I should just leave it there because... What? It doesn't make any fucking sense. They're leaving money on the table that should not cost them more than it's going to take to make it. As Ragnar pointed out, Baldari Prime Pony Club can create a skin on a fucking stream for a ship that we all look at and we're like, dude, that's freaking great. Now, granted, there's a ton of stuff that's copyrighted and everything we can't do, but like, He can do these skins all the time. The art team is the one team at EVE that works great. Nobody ever complains about the art team. They can do this stuff. You're leaving money on the table and you're charging us more for what we already get when we're asking you for stuff that you won't give us. And if the argument that I'm not going to give this to you guys is something stupid like it doesn't fit in with our Grimdark stuff, you can take your Grimdark shit and shove it up your ass with the extra $5. Okay? I don't need Grimdark and Eve. I want to kill other people. If that person wants to wear cat ears while I shoot them, I don't care. It doesn't fuck with the lore in this game.
You know what fucks with the lore in this game? 80 billion ISK worth of water in a fucking super carrier. That's what fucks with the game. That's what something that doesn't fucking scale well. Oh, all of the changes that the Rattati administration has been implementing, those haven't scaled fucking well, have they? Because you've had to walk them back because they've been tremendously unpopular because you refuse to listen to the fucking player base. And gosh, it's so mean. It must just be a few goons, must be a few Redditors, must just be a few people. Why do you still have early bird tickets available on FanFest? It's not because people don't suddenly, like, if they were making the game good and adding things that scaled well and made people happy, we'd all be going to Reykjavik to party. But instead, you keep giving us shit and insisting that it's lovely and we're just not smart enough to get it, just like you make the excuses for your stupid fucking crypto NFT bullshit. And then you're shocked that people don't believe your bullshit anymore just after you had to, well, NFTs are not for tranquility, just after you were forced to admit that the EVE Online player base is not into your crypto scam bullshit, then it's like, oh, well, now we have to do this because of Russia. We're going to give you $20. Am I assuming the worst there? Is that a fair assumption? Probably not. Maybe it is assuming the worst. But you, at CCP, have created a situation with your player base, with your customers, where we do not believe you when you say that you're going to do good things and it's going to work out well. Because what you have here for the last 2.5 years is this just record of utter repeated incompetence. Time after time after time, the CSM have warned you, don't do whatever, or hey, if you're going to do the dumb thing, we'll help you message it.
Or they don't tell us because they know it's a dumb thing and they don't want us, and they want us to have plausible deniability that we didn't know. Because you know what? I love it when people ask me, Brisk, did you know about this stupid shit that CCP did? And I have to tell them, no, they didn't tell me, because then I look like an impotent idiot who's wasting my time sitting on a CSM that never gets talked to, when that's not the case. This is one thing I wish, CCP, if you're listening, and I've said this to you privately, I'll say it to you publicly now. You do not need to protect us from the players. Don't not tell me something so that I can go, well, I didn't know about this. Because you know what? That's worse than if I knew about it and I didn't say anything. If I knew about it and didn't say anything, that's one thing. If I knew about it and told you guys it sucks, then I'm doing my job. If I don't know about it and didn't get a chance to tell you that it sucks, then I get every single player out there saying CSM is useless. What's the point? They don't tell you anything anyway. You're not helping me. You're not helping the rest of us on the CSM, at least the ones that actually talk to people outside of their groups. You're not helping any of us if you don't tell us what's happening so we can tell you in advance whether you're going to step on your dick or not. And that's the point of the group.
Yeah. It's just sad. So look, guys, we've run over time a little bit here. And what I want to basically say as far as takeaways is I'm sitting on my hands. You'll hear about this at the fireside tomorrow. It's not like I'm sitting on my hands because I have faith in CCP or whatever. It's because they dropped this deuce at 4:40 p.m. local time on a Friday and then wandered off and then got some poor bastard off of his vacation to do a voice call in front of a mob of understandably and reasonably upset, irate customers. And so now we essentially need to see what sort of nonsense is going to be coming out of the CCP headquarters in the next couple of business days, because this is a stunning dude, what the fuck. And I'm not going to be lighting personally any torches or waving any pitchforks until we have a better idea of what the chessboard here is, right? Like, again, we don't know if the company is actually hurting for money because they certainly haven't fired people. And if they aren't hurting for money and they just took this as a cash grab, there are so many questions that need to be answered here. So bear with us. We are going to be covering the shit out of this turd that they dropped in the middle of the galaxy. Don't touch the poop, but that is definitely some poop, and they want $20 for it. So
there you go.
Yeah,
and because we are good, we're going to give you 33% more meta show today. So we're going to keep going for a little bit longer.
We will.
Okay.
We'll give them
33% more meta show because
we will give you more content, even if CCP is not. So
and we'll do it for free.
We will do it for free. All right, let's do it.
So we have a bunch of random little stories we're going to go over very quickly. Right. Mittens doesn't know anything about these because they're just stuff that I grabbed and said, hey, I'm going to keep an eye out. So we're going to run through these very fast. All right. First of all, another, what the fuck were you thinking, CCP? Last week, we brought to you news that our dear friend Fred Von Hole, the bane of AT ships, ganked a Raighu in HiSec and got it destroyed. So what happened next, Brisk? Well, let me tell you what happened next. Here is the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. The dude that lost it puts in a petition claiming that he should not have been scrammed by trig rats because he was positive to trig rats, and the fucking GM reimbursed him the ship. Like, what? An AT ship, 150 billion-esque ship, gets ganked by Von Hole in Jeddah, and the GMs gave it back to him.
We don't get reimbursement for Titans or anything in the big boy territory when nullsec blocks are slamming against each other. CCP says, oh gosh, it's too complicated, and if we started reimbursing these things, it would set about, whatever the excuses are, and that's fine. We've accepted this as part of the ground rules of EVE Online. It ain't necessarily fair, but that's how the world works, and well, that's unprecedented. Tell me more. I know that there's more.
Should we have petitioned Operation Enho to get our 16 Titans back because it was a fucking bug that cost them that?
Yeah. Your AOE Doomsdays were bugged, and we'd like our 22 Titans back.
Please, we'd like our Titans back because they were bugged. Anyway, so in what is good news, but again, another situation where we're praising CCP for cleaning up the mess that they took on the floor, they took on the carpet. This Raighu was subsequently destroyed and taken away. The GMs acknowledged that they shouldn't have done that, and it's gone. So the Raighu is dead again. Player doesn't have it. And I would like to say, for the record, the best part of this entire thing is dumbass posts this email that he got, claiming that he got the Raighu back in a Discord to his buddies. One of his buddies runs to Reddit to gloat about it, and that's what set everybody off to the point that the GMs had to go back and blow the thing up. So, feels bad, man.
Wow.
When your buddies can't shut up about how the fact that you just scammed CCP for a ship worth 150 billion ISK. Next time, don't say anything.
Jesus.
You big dummy. All right, that's the end of that story. So next up, Neraus. WinterCo update. There's some drama. They kicked DTS and Lord from WinterCo for not doing what they're supposed to be doing in PvPing. It looks to me, I don't really know a ton about this other than what was publicly said. From what I can tell, we're at that point 6, 7, 8 months post-war where we're starting to see some groups, some things are changing, some people are moving around, things are changing. The Bastion, as we mentioned last week on the show, is weed-outing into goons. You've got these two groups getting kicked from WinterCo. It seems like some of the big coalitions are doing a little bit of reorganization.
That's fair.
That's fair. So Neraus lost two organizations from WinterCo, and we wanted to highlight that because it's news. In addition, Severance, largest corp, plans to leave Fire and go to our dear friends in Barv. The Brave Collective is getting Severance. They're going to move up north to period basis. Or no, they're in Pureblind. Pureblind. Where the fuck are they? Something with a P.
I always get those two mixed up. It's all good.
Somewhere up north with a P where Tess lives. That's where they're going. And I think this is funny because we like it when guys that are in Fire realize that maybe Fire is not the best coalition and that Constantine is not doing what's in their best interest, and they get the hell out. And I especially like it when they go help Brave, because of all the groups, all the pappies that were going to pappy, Brave was a pappy that decided they didn't want to pappy anymore. And I'm always going to give them a thumbs up for that. And that's the other reason why I'm going to give them another shout out, because this coming Friday, April 29th, is John Bellicose Day. This is a solemn day. It's a memory of an EVE player who left us way too soon. And we want to make sure that if you are interested, be the Sino-Visual. It's always a 24-hour Sino-Visual. We do it in Brave staging. Everyone is welcome. Take a shuttle up north. You're not going to get shot. There's free ports there. You can get a ship with a Sino in it and sit out there and talk to folks. It's a very solemn, very nice occasion. It's very EVE community friendly. I like to go out there and hang with Dunk and the guys. I've been to a couple of these now. So we'd like to ask all you guys to come out. So please stay classy. New Eden, get out there on April the 29th. That is this coming Friday. Now, one cute note, one last other note we're going to point out. Billy deleted his Reddit account. Anyway, that's that.
Well,
we don't know why, but hey, he did. And I guess that means he didn't have to sit and listen to all of the bullshit that I had to listen to when the announcement came down on the price increases, because man, people
he just noped out of that. He just took one look at the price increase and was like, I'm not doing this again. Totally
noped out. So I'm not doing this. I'm out. Guessing. So, and I guess with him being term limit on the CSM, he didn't need to do that. So I am never going to give anybody a hard time for getting off the cesspool that is Reddit. So good on you, Billy. Hopefully your mental health will benefit from this. I look forward to continuing to shoot you in the game, because he's been hanging around our staging a lot in Faith Abylis, and he's gotten on a couple of my kill mails, and I tried to shoot him with the PDS the other day. So I'm looking forward to killing Billy again. All right. Last thing we will leave you guys with, and I know you don't really care, probably, but since I did make my announcement, CSM 17 elections are coming up. As I noted before, Anominate, Merkel, Chen, Vili, Gobbins are term limited. Mike Azariah is not running for re-election, and Suetonia is now CCP Kestrel. Therefore, there will be 6 open seats on this CSM. I don't know whether iBeast is running again. I'm running again. Ken Feld is running again. And I don't know whether RC is running again. I assume that she will be. So there are potentially as many as 6 extra slots on the CSM. If you are not an Imperium member and you're interested in running for the CSM, all the information is here on you on the page. The submission process opens May 2nd, runs through the 16th, as we have asked for, so that we do not have another extra squishy situation. You don't have to put up a post saying you're running until you've been approved by CCP to run. They claim that process will take 72 hours. So get your stuff in. They'll tell you can run, then put your post up. If you want to run, you're interested in running, go out there and do that. If you are an Imperium member, I know that you are waiting with bated breath for the release of the Imperium ballot. We will release that whenever Mittens fucking feels like it. Wait.
I know who our top spots are going to be. Obviously, Brisk is running again, so he will be near the top like we always have him. And as usual in the Imperium, you are invited to vote in exactly the way that the state requests that you vote. And some of our top candidates this year are going to be Casimir and Angry Mustache. I know that Hyper Viper is running. And again, I want to caution everybody that due to the way that CCP has changed the voting system to avoid us rocking the vote as hard as we can rock the vote, usually speaking, if we can manage to get 3 slots on there, that is wonderful, right? Like that's what we think we can do. We will, as usual, have our exit poll system and stuff like that. One of the challenges that we have every year is that a lot of good people from the Imperium will pop up and be like, I am a masochist and I want to go to Reykjavik and deal with the Rattati administration and stuff like that. But again, guys, the way that STV works, there's only going to be a few seats that are available that year. So I don't want people getting their hopes up and being like, I'm going to run an independent campaign and I'll convince all the puppies to have me on board. I want to set the expectations appropriately low. These are important things. Please follow the ballot as we will present it to you. And I think it's going to be a good slate. I think that between Brisk and Angry and Casimir, at a bare minimum, we're going to have a good mix of in-game expert knowledge. I mean, everybody trusts Angry Mustache when it comes to the EVE economy far more than we trust the Rattati administration. Casimir is a longtime operator from the very highest levels of Goonswarm. He's been a guest on the show over and over again. And if we get other bonus goons on, great, but just don't expect more than 3 seats, guys. And so that's it. I want to crush your hopes in advance. Unlike CCP, I will tell you the bad news and why the bad news is bad news and go into great detail about it, so you understand why I have to tell you that you can't necessarily get the cookie to go charge the windmill in Iceland. But that is it. CSM season is coming up, and that's what we're going to look forward to.
And in addition to Angry and Casimir at the top of the ticket, at least on the Init side, I am running. Pando is also running. So if you guys are interested, you'll at least have a chance to get one of the best premier FCs in the game on the CSM. I think it'll be useful if we can get him on there. Given the numbers between Goons and Init, I think we have a good shot at potentially as many as 4. It's all going to come down to turnout. I think at some point we will do another show where we talk specifically about the CSM. Although, again, there are times when, after like announcements like we just had, where I'm questioning, all right, why am I doing all this work? Why am I doing this? They're
always so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and there's a reason I don't run anymore. But hey, have fun storming the castle.
Right.
It's important work. I'm glad that it's getting done, and now that is it. We're gonna be covering as we learn more. We will bring it to you. If there's a new development with the CCP stupidity, I will bring it to you at the fireside tomorrow. I don't expect to see anything really shake loose from Reykjavik until probably Monday, Tuesday, but you never know, depending upon what their reactions are. It's very hard to predict stuff like this level of corporate communication and strategy. So,
and in addition to, so just other than, I just want to highlight this for folks that are paying attention, because this is, I think, just us doing a public service. In addition to the change to the 72-hour thing where you don't have to put your post up until you're approved, another thing that they are relaxing is you're no longer required to have a valid passport to run for CSM. They will let you get on with a national identity card. They are not requiring anybody to come to Iceland for a summit, which makes sense because we haven't had one in the last 2 years. So I haven't been to, this the Fanfest will be the first time I've been to Iceland, even though I've been on the CSM. This should have been my third time. Under the old system, it should have been my 5th time, but I've been to Iceland twice before. This will be my first time since 2018. But if you don't want to go to Iceland, because we do so many of our meetings on Zoom calls, we use Microsoft Teams, but anyway, we do all that stuff up there. It will be, that's a big change. And I know that was a stumbling block for certain people in the past. So if you are interested in running and you're not in the Imperium, you don't have to have a passport anymore. So there you go. All right. That is it. You got your extra 33%. In fact, not only did you get an extra 33%, you got like a little bit more than that. So we want to make sure that you guys know we are going to provide you with the most value for your entertainment dollar. Subs are still $5 here on the Imperium News Network on Twitch TV. So
damn straight.
To reiterate what Mitten said, we are still evaluating, trying to figure out what exactly this means for everyone. And I think that potentially the sub increase is going to have a huge impact on the game. It's going to change the login numbers. It's going to change Plex prices. It's going to change in-game prices. It's going to change how the CSM gets elected. It's going to change turnout. It's going to change a ton of different stuff. And I feel like we're not really even sure at this point, because it hasn't even happened yet, what the potential downside or upside is going to be. And we won't find that out for a couple of months. But we are committed, as always, as your favorite EVE talk show. We will be here on Saturday, unless Mittens and I have something better to do, every Saturday to give you all the EVE news that we can find, as much propaganda as we can fill, and we're going to keep mixing up the Kool-Aid for you people because we know how much you like it, especially the red kind, which is the best.
Damn straight.
We're going to have that here for you guys every week on the Meta Show. Boss, do you have any final words you'd like to say before we get the hell out of here and enjoy the rest of our Saturday?
tune in next week, because after the Meta Show, there will be our Eve Wrestling special.
Eve Wrestling next week.
Eve Wrestling. And we're probably going to ask Life Shifter to have some sort of fun, like, you know, there's going to be some jokes about the subscription price thing. Like, I'm sure, I don't know how we're going to roll with it, but we will try to incorporate the month's nonsense into the wrestling match. So tune in for after the show next week. Tune in, and you'll get to watch. Hopefully this time Matterall won't completely kick my ass in the ring.
That would be nice. The problem, Mittens, you were red shirt Mittens that last time. We got to get a good black shirt Mittens
exactly.
in there. That's where the anger is. All right, everybody. Listen, this has been a rough week for Eve Online. We know that, and we wanted to be here for you guys. I can tell the numbers were crazy because you guys wanted to hear what we have to say. Thank you all for tuning in. We had over almost 1,300 people at one point on the show. You guys are the best audience in Eve Online. We love you. We are here for you. If you need to talk, you want to chat, anything like that, come on here every Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Freedom Time, 2000 Eve time for the Meta Show. I'm Brisc Rubal. This is the Mittani, April 23rd, 2022. We're out of here. You stay classy, New Eden.
Cheers.